Good morning. I woke up this morning thinking of my dad, thinking of my culture, thinking of my childhood, and something triggered me, and I felt very unsettled, and I wondered why. Why am I feeling unsettled? Excuse me. So I thought, why am I feeling unsettled? And then I thought back to what I did yesterday and remembered that I watched The Reckoning, the Netflix documentary series about Sean Penn, aka P. Diddy. And what I might say, what I say now, probably is going to be quite controversial. But I'm saying it because I'm looking at the news of a lot of people that are put in jail, that are vilified. And I wonder, do we ever think about how these people came to be who they are? And is that something that is focused on in society? The part of the documentary that really intrigued me was his growing up, Sean's childhood. I mean, from the offset, it seems that he's been compromised. He had a father who was murdered, and I'm not going to say the cliche statement that a lot of people have parents who've been killed. They don't go ahead and do certain things or certain crimes, but it can't be forgotten or negated that childhood has a profound impact on how we rationalize and how we think. Certain individuals, certain people, for example, like myself, by society standards, I'll be seen as a failure. I don't have wealth. I haven't accumulated a lot. And on the basis of that, people will treat you how they see you. I'm wearing my father's cap simply to go back into myself, to the child that I was, and try to rationalize, did this impact who I became or did not become? And I find that extremely telling. If we have a bike that doesn't function properly, or a car, or a pencil, or a meal we are cooking, we don't throw that away. But that's by the by. I just wanted to bring out certain things. There are certain people who we adore or who are adored in society. But when they fall hard. And it's what they fell about that is used to identify them. And I will wish there was more insight into how childhood can impact, more information, more studies done, so that you can, in a way, trail or see what is going to happen. And the second thing, the reason why I was talking about Sean Combs, P. Diddy, is that on watching the Netflix, the second point, apart from his childhood, the second point is that there were thousands people around him who did not do the right thing. And I'm not blaming them, but all I know is that doing the right thing is the most difficult thing to do. I remember discussing with my daughter one day that, for example, I worked in an education institution and certain things were being done, and I went and I challenged. It didn't benefit me because when you challenge authority, you are thrown to the wolves. But what I wanted to say to my daughter then was, doing that, nobody does the right thing easily. It crushes you. And I was just wondering, how many of us stand by when the wrong thing is being done? Don't get me wrong, I'm neither negating or supporting what this fellow did. But I want you to look, let me read out a list of names to you. And these people had compromised childhoods. They said that adversity can either make you strong or you can incorporate learned helplessness into your being. And that is something that I applied to myself. Until recently, I've had to snap out of that learned helplessness. Or you could become over egoistic, or you could become a great achiever. A lot of people that are in jail now or who have achieved great success have also fallen far down, not because, who knows, they're inherently bad, but because that is their makeup from childhood. Listen to these names. R. Kelly, he had a very traumatic childhood. He grew up in a very impoverished and violent um, part of Chicago. You know, he said he experienced sexual abuse. I don't know, but that's what he said. No matter how successful you are, those things in your childhood would have altered something in your being, in your psyche. And these are the things that I believe impact how people handle their success and fall by the wayside. Even P. Diddy's is would I say counterpart, Marion Suge Knight, who is currently incarcerated. He also apparently had a very traumatic childhood. Why is it that when you achieve great success, people can't hold on to it? Why some people can't? I shouldn't say everybody, I shouldn't generalize. Why is it that some people can't hold on to it? What is in their makeup that makes them forget or that makes them go way outside the norm? For example, Suge Knight, apparently he was exposed to gangs. So he also apparently lived in a very violent environment. Let me give you another one. Jacqueline El Chapo Guzman, currently serving a life sentence. Apparently, he was born in the ghetto in Sinaloa, you know, and that was, from what I've read, is an extremely violent and deprecating way of living. Well, all your sense of being, all your sense of worth is eradicated. And when you get to a certain level in life, you want to show that you have achieved, and that might come out in negative ways. And apparently, he suffered physical abuse. Don't get me wrong, I'm not ignoring what has happened. I'm just trying to think that maybe as a society, even now we see children on social media, children in compromising situations, but it's allowed. It's seen as, well, you know, freedom of speech, freedom of action. But these are the children of tomorrow. When they commit atrocious crimes, people will be aghast. Why is it happening? Another example, Ghislaine Maxwell, the partner in crime of Jeffrey Epstein. She came from a wealthy background, but it was also a compromised background. You know, I do think, I believe there's a country, is it Finland, that has a subject in that is in kids' curriculum, and that is a subject about empathy. You know, I do think empathy is missing a lot in society. Empathy, because empathy is what will stop certain things from happening. I mean, Maxwell grew up, she was the daughter of Robert Maxwell, an extremely wealthy person, but she also lived in a compromised situation, not necessarily poverty, but she grew up with the background of her father being accused of some horrific crimes. I mean, but there's an element of dysfunction there. You know, when I look at the picture of P. Diddy here, and I look at that eye, some people can call it creepy. But I'm wondering, is there a child lurking behind those eyes that many of us don't see? I mean, all of us walking around as adults, let's say I'm talking about adults now, we all presume we know what we are doing, we know why we function, but many of us don't. You know, we don't know really know what triggers us, what will make us behave in an adverse way that can impact others. And I do believe that maybe we should have something taught to us when we are young on how to empathize, not just how to make money or how to get qualified, something to do with who we are, like as we are as animals, because we are animals. I mean, we are a step higher than animals that live in the Serengeti because we have speech and we have rationale. But have you seen a lion and a lioness lie next to each other at night? They hug, they love, sometimes better than we humans. Another person, another example, you know, um, as horrific as it might be, is Harvey Weinstein. You know, I mean, he wasn't impoverished, but apparently there was some odd family dynamics. He was Jewish. He came from a Jewish background, and the reason why I just thought about this is because it brought me home to myself. You know, and I always used to think to myself, why did my life turn out this way? Didn't I try hard enough? Am I not educated enough? Was I born in the wrong skin? Was I born in the wrong century? Was I born in the wrong country? I mean, these are all the questions we ask ourselves, but we never talk about it. So it was just a thought that came to me as I woke up this morning and I thought of my father. I used to hate my mother, by the way, because I used to believe that she um, was the root of my misfortunes in life, so to speak. But then I realized that tradition, culture also had a lot to do with how she was raised and how it impacted me. I have two backgrounds. I'm British, but my parents are also Nigerian. And I do think one of the things I'm very grateful about being British is that I have developed um, a sense of recording archival records of my life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And hopefully that this will be available to those coming in the future so that better decisions can be made. I think it's okay that people are put in prison when they've done something wrong. But how does that stop the next person? How does that stop the next carnage coming along if it isn't ingrained in childhood that certain things should not be done? Well, Maverick Mind Speaks stops here today. Just a thought. Just a thought. Looking through the eyes of childhood. How can we make that better for those coming? Anyway, I raise my hat to my father and I say, you have a wonderful day.